What's cracking, y'all? It's JCJ, just for another episode. So today I'm going to be talking about the almighty Doja Cat. Now, what are my thoughts on Doja Cat? Doja Cat is a Trojan horse. What is a Trojan horse? If you look at Greek mythology, you saw the Trojan horse was able to enter into the enemy, coming in disguised as a gift or a celebration. What I see what's going on with Doja Cat is a lot of people respecting her that really should not be respecting her. Now, what do I mean by that? We're in a culture, we're also all engaged in the hip hop industry, and we see people like Eve celebrated, rightfully so. People like MC Lyte celebrated, even more rightfully so. She's a legend. And we also see people like Nicki Minaj celebrated. And in my opinion, for what she brings to the game, she's a legend as well. At least with Nicki Minaj, with all of the negativity that she brings to little girls and all of the negativity and hyper-sexualized things that she talks about and things that she does, she brings bars to the conversation, okay? She brings bars to the conversation. She can actually rap, and she actually has a true appreciation for the culture. When we look at people like Eminem, they came into the culture and they show a true appreciation as well for the legends like Kool G Rap, Big Daddy Kane, and you always see Eminem show love to LL Cool J. He goes on his show on Rock the Bells. He always shows love to him and says that he's one of his favorite rappers ever. So with that being the case, you have someone now coming in like Doja Cat, who recently got hot again because she's on a remix with Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj on her record gives her more credibility than it does for Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj at this point, you could say that she's a legend in the fact that what she's accomplished on Billboard, even though I may not agree with what she really raps about and how she hypersexualizes herself. Then you have Doja Cat coming right now that does the same hypersexualized stuff. You know, she does the same, you know, I'm a sexy bee, you know, and flaunting herself and things like that. Nothing constructive, no lyrics of substance. You know, I tried to give her a listen early on in her career because I thought she was like alternative, different, and so forth. And I heard crazy talk from people talking that she may be like an eclectic type of Lauryn Hill, which is so far from the truth. Doja Cat is a Trojan horse, and there's lots of Trojan horses in our community. When we look at Doja Cat, we see someone that doesn't necessarily have a respect for the culture because she does not have a respect for the people of the culture and the people that promote the culture, that make it cool to do what she's doing, that makes her hot. She doesn't have a respect for where the culture comes from. And how could she? When you look at her beginnings, even being that half of her is, you know, South African and so forth, she doesn't have an attachment even to the ADOS. She does not have an attachment to the inner city struggle and so forth, the hip hop struggle, being from the culture, being one that recognizes how to move. So how can we expect her not to talk crazy when she's on these websites looking for attention? And this is why I kind of blame a lot of you people, because what happens is she's on the Instagram, she's on the Twitter, doing different things for attention. And while I was looking into the story, this is what I saw. So I do not follow her. I'm not a fan. I tried to give her a listen when I heard good things initially about her. And, you know, couldn't be so further from the truth. She's not hot. She can't spit lyrics. And her singing is average. So with all of that said, now let's look at Doja Cat and how she's a Trojan and what she's really bringing to the culture. You have someone that loves white Zaddy. She loves Zaddy so much. She really wants to be down to the point where she's on alt-right groups and she's talking crazy about people of color, even though she's a biracial and, you know, she's a person of color. You can tell that she hates herself. You can tell that she doesn't even like some of the music that she's really getting into. You could tell that she's the type is probably going to pull a Kid Rock and do hip hop and then going to flip and do rock music later on. And she's not attached to the culture. And Nicki Minaj being on her record only made her hot, more so than it made Nicki Minaj hot. And that may be contrary to what a lot of people believe, but I disagree. Nicki Minaj, she's already well established. She already made her impact. And she not only appeals to people in the culture, but she appeals to mainstream media and mass media. So we have to give her that credit, even though we may not agree with everything that she does. Now, the reason why I really wanted to touch on Doja Cat, and it's such a funny reason, is because what I see, there's a ton of Doja Cats within the community. There's Doja Cats that work with you, that have a certain mindset, and just because they look like you think that they think the way that you do. Just because they look like you think that they have your best interest at heart. Just because they look like you think that they're a good person and they care about the community. Just because they look like you think that they care about the culture. Doja Cat is just that. She's just a Trojan horse in the community. And I think it's important to look at her as an example because there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of Doja Cats, here in America, in Africa, in the Caribbean, people that look like us. Just because they look like you does not mean that they're your friend, or it doesn't mean that they're your brother. So with that in mind, looking at Doja Cat, we shouldn't expect nothing less from her. Look at the way that she moves. Look at the certain things that she says. People like that are really despicable. And it's not just that they have a hate for themselves, but then they gotta project it out and so forth. And then come back now and say that, oh, I'm totally like you. I want to be down. So when certain things happen, when tragedies happen and they come back down to earth because of dealing in the mass and so forth, dealing in society, and they find out that they don't have that card and they want to come back to the community, then they want to be a part of the community. Then they want to trade their cards in and see how they could win. I am telling you now, I'm not going to be surprised if she starts doing rock music on a full-time basis, not jump into pop and then jump into hip-hop. I'm telling you on a full-time basis and just say, you know what, forget y'all Negroes. I bet you that she's going to do that because she doesn't have a healthy respect for the culture and she's not from the culture to begin with. So, there's thousands of Doja Cats in the community. Doja Cats at work that you may trust because they look like you and then they betray you. Doja Cats that you want to invest and go into business with, and then they're the ones taking the money from you instead of coming together for unity and building up substance and growth. So she's a good example and a good reminder just to kind of look at the way things are, why things are the way they are, and just to keep in mind that, someone has to earn your respect and earn your trust. You can't always just give that to them. Even as an artist, the artists are supported by the people. And guess what? We, the culture, especially the hip hop, decide what becomes hot and what doesn't become hot. So I'm really proud. I want to give a congratulations to Black Twitter. I love the way that y'all handle that situation. And I hope it continues. I hope that she is not able just to apologize this away and think that she's not a part of the problem. And think that, she got love for the culture when she really doesn't. Just be who you are. Stay in your side. But people always want to just benefit from the culture and come in and out. And that's the problem. We have too many people like Doja Cats. In fact, you know what? That should be a slang. Hashtag Doja Cat. To explain someone who's fake, who look like you, and who really, runs to Zaddy and talks a certain type of way and is not really from the culture. You can tell she's just not a genuine person. And that's my problem with her. As a Black American, to me, she doesn't compose of the struggle. Just as a human being, she's not a good human being because of her hatred for other people like that. And overall, as an artist, she's not that hot. She kind of sucks. And I could tell you Azealia Banks would kill her, even though I'm not a fan of Azealia Banks' personality, but she would kill her as far as music is concerned. And so we need to really control the narrative and the people who we really respect and what we want to see from them. Doja Cat, I'm so glad. I really hope that you canceled. You don't bring nothing of substance to the culture anyway. And we looking to trade you up for, somebody else, maybe MIA or someone else from another culture to come on our side, because we ready to trade you in. So God bless. One love, one people.